Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to this practicing session that's not live, it's pre-recorded, so it's a premiere on Thursday evening 7:30 p.m. as we try to do this every week here at the clavichord on Thursdays, and on Monday 7:30 try to be live with you at the pianoforte. Most of these practicing sessions now in the framework of the Beethoven project. That's the project we are actually starting at the end of this year, October, November, starting to record 60 works of Beethoven over the next 3 years on 22 CDs. Actually, that's 95% or 90%, I don't know really, but that's the majority of the Beethoven solo works, all in from the perspective of the double beat interpretation. If you're not familiar with what double beat is, that's simply the theory where you put the metronome, and instead of having the note value in the metronome equation, so 1, 2, 3, 4, connected to every tick, you take the old understanding, the old meaning of the term takt or schlag or beat, which is the conductor beat, like 1, 2, 3, and so on. What happens then with this music is that it becomes very much playable, I think much more beautiful, and it connects that music of that classical era, end of 18th, early 19th century, even mid-19th century, to the tradition of the 18th century with music of Bach. So that's great. Also, this instrument, the clavichord, connects that music of Bach to Beethoven, since Beethoven and Mozart, as we're going to do Mozart today, they all played the clavichord. So that's it. That's one of the only keyboard instruments that you could say covers almost the entire 18th century, and that's so cool on this instrument, apart from the expressive quality. So today Mozart, not Beethoven, and I was just taking this book from the shelf. Mozart, that's the edition that I'm playing from for Mozart works, Berenreiter, Clavier Sonata, not piano sonatas. They should change that and in keyboard sonatas, because Mozart only had the piano since 1782. So that's another topic, what kind of instrument he played on. But this is a sonata, the last one, D major, I've played years ago, even on a concert on this clavichord. But I've always had the impression that the later sonatas by Mozart, like certainly this one, they fit the pianoforte a little bit better than the clavichord perhaps does. So that's maybe like cursing in a church, sitting here at the clavichord. But since it's not a very easy sonata, I was thinking to use this time of this practicing session to go through some movements here to practice the music and just share with you this process. I haven't been playing this sonata for maybe 6 or 7 years, so it's not a first look at it. The fingering has been made in detail. We're going through that fingering also, because sometimes if you replay or play a piece again, fingering might change. So, and we'll see how I think about this music on the clavichord now. Now, we will not be able to finish this complete sonata in this session, and so I might do some other sessions with this piece. So, but eventually coming to the point, maybe recording it on the clavichord and perhaps also on the pianoforte. So to see how this music actually works on both instruments, and well, I would not say which one we would prefer, because that's difficult to say, but if the clavichord maybe is, it's hard to say what exactly gave me the feeling for the clavichord not being the perfect instrument for this Mozart sonata, and that it's sometimes just a feeling, some chords, some effects that obviously are in the music that the clavichord is too reserved about. It's an 18th century instrument which is developed for, not to produce effects, from, for instance, I've often used that example of high. this bass sound. If you play that on the pianoforte, you will have immediately the orchestral feeling. The clavichord is a little bit too reserved for that. Not saying that you cannot play that sonata on the clavichord, but the question is here, for which instruments was it actually created? It's hard to say in this bridge period. So I was opening this book before we start, and this fell out. It fell again. Fell out of the book. So, and this is actually a print of an email I got from Lorenz Gadient, 15 November 2009, and it was a shock for me 10 years ago. And this was actually a few months after Lorenz and I met for the first time in Germany, and we actually are heading for Germany next week to Ingolstadt, where he lives, Lorenz lives, to talk about the book project. So rewriting his entire book, and that's a long process, but it's also, we actually made great progress, but we have to come to a point where we are deciding upon the index and which chapters we're going to write, and so on and so on. But this clavichord's first concert actually was given in Germany in a little city that I totally forget the name now, but we are actually from going to visit Wolfgang Weller, who lives there. That's a great pianist, also playing in double beat for a long time. And we're going to see him. We're leaving from Lorenz on Friday, and we go to, I totally forgot about it. Anyway, to visit Wolfgang Weller. And so that this mail is written 3 months after, or 2 months after Lorenz and I met for the first time there. And it contains all the modulus Mozart metronome numbers. So I have written them in the score because at the time I was planning for a complete recording on clavichord of the Mozart sonatas. And so Lorenz gave me the modulus numbers. And actually the concrete tempo journey started there. We had a lot of fights actually on the slow movements, which I couldn't accept to be double beat as well. But you know the story that also Mozart made change my mind, and that only happened end of 2016, so 7 years after this mail has been written. It took me 7 years not to understand what he wrote in that email of 2009, but to force myself to open myself for that new perspective. And so if people come on the channel and they completely are shocked or accept the fast movements to be in double beat and not the slow movement, I totally get their point, because I have gone through the same process. It took me really 7, maybe 10 years to come to a point where I said, oh my God, this is really also double beat. It cannot be different. And so there, end 2016, early 2017, I made that, perhaps not famous, but that rather popular on my channel, ping pong video with Lorenz. That was an official announcement for me to say, now I'm going to make a video in which I express myself to be in favor of this theory for the whole compass, and I just do it for the next years. And that was it's a wonderful experience. So, okay, after this way too long introduction, I'm looking in the camera and hope to see how many minutes we are in, but I don't see it. So we're going to practice a little bit. So metronome numbers for modulus and Czerny, I have those as well now. They are really similar. So for the first movement, Allegro, if you want to know them, it's a dotted quarter note, 96 modulus, 92 Czerny. For the Adagio, which is one of the most astonishing pieces ever written. In modulus 92 for the 8th note, Czerny 104. It's a little bit faster, but still in the same range. And for the Allegretto, Czerny has 92, and modulus has, where is it? 80 for the quarter note. So their modulus is a little bit slower. What I have as well is here. Let me show you that. That's the Mozart modulus edition, the Hallberger Prachtausgabe. It was a gift from Lorenz. So, and actually here it is, the Sonata in modulus version, which is, sometimes you have these great points. I should be careful here. At the end, so Sonata of Mozart, and then he explains some things. Sometimes it's just ornamentation, which is on itself interesting to see how he did that. But sometimes he makes remarks on the way you count the bar. We're going to make a video on the alla turca, a series of videos, because there he is extremely interesting. Clearly pointing to double beat. That's actually a video that's been waiting for months to be made. So let's just see for the first movement, and I'm going to mess up a lot of notes, I can promise you, since this is not an easy sonata. But what I never have done, really, with this sonata is check modulus tempo or Czerny. So 96, chuck, 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 tap. Bum, 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 and so on. Let me see if I am right. So this is a tactus inequalis, jam. So you have the heavy point every time you return to the bottom. Chuck, chuck, jam, bum, 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 dum, dum. So you could say you actually sing or play the notes 3 against 2. But the tactus inequalis means actually, if you take this a little further, that you have dum, dum, bum, 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 dum, bum. And you see this often in conducting practices, even today. Dum, dum, bum, bum, bum. So they give the 3 ternary, is that the right word? Time signatures in 2. And then the up and down is actually not equal. The second beat covers only the third of the 3 parts. This 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, dum, bum. So it's actually not so hard to do that. Okay. Yum, bum, 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 bum. The fingering I'm reading is kind of weird because it's a little bit more 18th century than I would do it today. So I start with 2, I just jump. 2. So here, I go to 3, 2, 4, and then make the jump to 3. I wouldn't do that today anymore. So I would just use 1, 4, 3, 5, and then go to 3. So I understand. So 2, 2, 5, 2, and I just jump from 2 to 2. That's possible, it gives a nice accent. I don't know if I keep that. 1, 1. Let's try that again. 2. 4 on the A, I would use a 5 now. This is actually clever. So 1, 5, 1, 3, 1, and then 4, 2. And go back. Yeah, it avoids, of course, the use of the first finger on the F sharp, which is actually okay. By the way, if you would like to have my fingering, every recording I make, standalone recording on YouTube, there is on the Patreon page, there is a tier level where actually the patrons of that level get it's kind of my personal score with the fingerings. So for personal use, of course, to avoid copyright issues. In case you're interested. Okay. And then this is spectacular for that time. Okay. I use 4 here and then I go to 3. Okay, yeah, it's possible, but it's tricky. So I do 2 F sharp, 1, 4, 5 on the A sharp. Okay, I can understand this, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, but then use the old fingering here. I wouldn't do that anymore. That's too tricky. It's too tricky. I think I was looking for a kind of symmetry in the left hand to right hand. Okay, 3 on in both hands. Symmetry is really important, but here, what happens if I just have the first finger on? I've tried it. I see here an erased 1, so it's interesting. Because what I want to avoid is practicing really fingering. Sometimes you need to do that. So sometimes you come in a situation where, you practice scales, you have a kind of feeling for where you have to place your thumb and to play scales and things like that. That's what we are looking for here. But here we don't have a normal scale. And other difficulty is in the right hand, we don't have it's not going parallel. It's going parallel with the left hand, but the right hand uses another fingering. It's much easier when you go left down, right up. Both together down is difficult. So, but if you really have to practice a kind of exception in your fingering, then that will remain for your entire life a difficult spot that you have to keep practicing. So I am looking always to avoid that and to search for fingering that naturally I would take even spontaneously. So, and here that's tricky. But the end on the 3, 4, 5, I don't like that. So having the first finger on the A, which is the last 16th note of the bar, that would create a kind of exception, but it would give me a second finger on this G sharp, 3, 4, and then I have done that, I can see it now. Yeah. Okay, so what are we going to do here? What would happen if I have the fourth finger here, but instead of on the 3, I would land on a 2 here, so... spending a lot of time on these two bars, but I'm preparing this from the perspective that if I play it on a concert, I should feel certain and safe there. So that's now the time to look at it. I have to look to the time here. Okay, it's 20 minutes. So, because it will it will close the video on 29 minutes, so I have to keep an eye on that. So it's 10 minutes, okay. So it's important to make it work every time. Now I have second finger on G sharp. What doesn't feel right is 2, 3, 4. The fourth finger needs to move to the left from F sharp to the fourth finger. I could say, well, just practice that, but yeah, again, there is not a really good solution here. Mr. Mozart, this is not well written for the keyboard. It's better when I just have the first finger on the A. It feels better than when I just 1, 2, 3, 4 and then jump to the second finger, because then the fourth finger has, in a way, less time to reposition. Now listen guys, these are all really small details, but it are these details that keep you alive during a concert or a recording session. Don't have to edit it then afterwards. What's my tempo here? Don't mind the airplanes. I don't know, they are flying a lot today. Chuck, we're safe here. Also, yum, ya ba 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 ya ba 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 ba. Let's try that. I land on the first finger and I have written a 3 on the E. I should keep a 3, I think, here. It's okay. So this tempo also is a little bit slower than I used to play the piece, and that's a good thing, because I can now feel, and that's not an argument that I could use in a video for double beat, but I have the impression that in that time that composers were still looking for that. Let me say it differently. So the upper line of tempo was given by the fact to enable the player to control everything he did. So just motorically studying, as we do at the piano today a lot, because tempi are so high that our brain cannot process the. So we read the notes and we have processing the notes in order to give impulses to our fingers. So the motorical system, that's difficult if you exceed a certain tempo limit. And so we practice a lot. We imprint, so to say, this motorical feeling so that we can reproduce it a few times. We have to go back then to slow practicing to refresh that feeling, because there is no motorical memory is unbelievable. It keeps us alive. It makes possible actually that we play those works. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible. But not being able to control that while executing, while relying on your motorical memory, that in that case, the slightest slip, the slightest mistake you make during a performance or practicing session will force you to practice it again slowly, because that's a memory system that's heavily related to impulses given. So one wrong impulse and you're forced to go back. Here is a tempo that allows me to, in this case for just one bar, increase, so to say, my focus, so to be kind of jumping right between right hand and left hand very quickly to control every note. You can't do that for the entire piece, but you can do that for one bar. And I've often the feeling that that's a kind of tempo limit. At least that's a feeling. that still people back then wanted to play in a way that they could control things. Hence the aspect of sight reading. It sounds difficult then, and that's actually great. These passages should feel difficult for the audience because they feel that the focus is higher. I jump here. Poor clavichord, how can it survive these air jet sounds? That's impressive, what power these machines have. But they should execute that a little bit further from our house. I use here a second finger, but that's too conservative, I think. So 3 is better. Finger here, okay. I jump here from the E to the A with the same finger. It's possible. I'm looking sometimes at the camera just for the time code. I should have used my other camera, then I could see it here, but it's not a problem. So yeah, what are we going to do here? I can go to 1. I think that in that time they would do that. And then naturally your 4th finger lands on the A, and then so this seems to be kind of boring, but it's actually essential. Changing a fingering like this is really cool because you make decisions that are affecting the rest of your performance, and actually the rest of your performance live with this piece, because you're going to execute that. I'm going to just turn off and turn on the camera really quick. So there I am again. Okay. Let's try this again, see how this works. It's nice. So the left hand goes with the right hand together suddenly, and that happens with Beethoven also. That's so nice. Here I must say the clavichord outperforms the pianoforte by far. There's not even a competition. The way you can control these notes in one hand, you can give this a jump, bum, bum, without overpowering, without a risk of the E in this case to be too loud. Okay. Big jump, which I just make with 1, 1. Why not? Feels good. So this jump is possible in this tempo like that, and I think it's indicated also by the bows. Up, you. So if I was talking in the Wiener Urtext by just leaving out these fingerings, because fingerings are connected to a way of playing, and since your way of playing is affected by tempo choice, fingerings are connected to a certain tempo choice. So here, this wouldn't be possible in a modern performance, because you would have to connect those two figures with each other, because the jump would otherwise take too long. Am I not increasing my tempo? Just check. I really want to stick to that Moses tempo now, just for the beginning. Come. Da, 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 da. I promised you to practice with the tempo inequalities, and I did. So hope you can you see that here. That's not so hard actually. Two hands. Dolce. Okay, I use 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. I don't know. I think if you look to Clementi's fingering, it's a little bit more modern than this. So 3, 2, 4, 1. And then I replace my hand. Yeah, why not? But then that's possible. But Mozart, so I use here 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So that's the old swelling practice actually. You see that with Bach. But Mozart places these notes under a bow. So I think he wants to have it legato more. The Dolce. So 3, I just write these fingerings out, because there's a difference if you do the tayam or you do. So yeah, fingering is important. 2, 4. It feels actually great to play some Mozart. My goal is to have all these piano sonatas, keyboard sonatas on the channel. In a while, doesn't matter when. Here I have done something wrong, I think. So nice ending. Wow, this is such a beautiful sonata. Yeah, and why didn't he write somewhat more piano music or keyboard music after July 79, 1889? There are some variations, but this is such a beautiful sonata. So, nothing against the clavichord now for me, for this sonata up to now. So check the tempo. If this tempo inequalities is too difficult for you to practice, and this is not, I mean, a way you can practice, or you can practice with this metronome ticking now as a kind of timekeeper. What did I do? I changed my tempo here. Shouldn't do that. 96. But it's not easy. What I typically do is put it a little bit, make it a little bit softer. Because you are not conducting. conducting. The metronome is not giving the tempo any qualities, really, it's indicating that. So that's what motionless means, and that famous quote with Schindler, the Schindler translation, where he said, yeah, the metronome number is only serving you for the beginning. Yeah, that's just the time indication, the Zeitmaß, tempo. But if you want to use the metronome as a practicing tool, not as a Taktmesser, that's a difference. So not as a tempo indicator, then you use it then single beat. I mean, you recalculate that and you have it just tick as a conductor would tick in 3. That's a mistake many people make who are not really into the subject. I read that recently. Yeah, but on the inside of the metronomes you often find these little instructions, and that's single beat. Yeah, it is. Because that's the more popular version of the metronome use, to have a teacher replace you. So instead of the teacher ticking on the piano or wherever, just giving you the time. It's more difficult to do that with the metrical system. So what you can do is just divide it by 2 and multiply by 3. So that's 120 then, and 18. That's, I'm sorry, 96 is 48 by 3 is 120 plus 24 is 144. And you put your metronome 144. And then it's easy to practice if you really want to practice like. And you can check your tempo. Not running, bing. So I do that sometimes as well, but you can play in tempo inequalities, and you have to, it's just a matter, and certainly if you have a pendulum is no problem at all. Okay, let's try this from the beginning. So articulated, I think, not too legato. That's nice, actually, like that. Legato. Chap. Okay, still okay. Fingering is okay. They could use a little bit more salt and pepper here, Tom. Still. On the piano this works better, so these jumps with a thumb. It's possible on the clavichords, but you need to be aware of it. So here you have left hand above, the right hand you don't. And then, of course, minor. But who has expected this? Here it's difficult on the clavichord. I use 2-2-1. I would reverse that 2-1-2. You would lose a little bit of connection in the left hand, so in the little finger. It's not a problem. Try this again. That was okay. So be careful with the metronome. Just check the time code here. Okay. I cannot read anymore. 15 minutes. Okay. And clavichord needs a little bit tuning. This is also because I hit the F so hard. Better, eh? So how great an instrument it is, you can actually fine-tune the tuning while you're playing, like a violinist. It's not good. Pum 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 pum. I was playing piano here. And then piano concert. I think I should keep the accent right, because otherwise you have the dee da be da dee dum dee dum bum ta dum bum ta dum bum ta and one and one and one. I do something weird here. Oh yeah, okay, it's okay. Three here? That was it. Three, and then make let's just go to 1 now. It's difficult. Certainly to read the fingering and the notes again. So let's do that again. I wasn't expecting this passage. Okay, the fingering. Again, too old-fashioned here with 3/3. It's actually funny to look back on your fingerings so many years later. G sharp? No, just normal G. Natural. This is of course really difficult because I wonder why he just moves an octave up. Okay, but it's Mozart. I mean, in the left hand, he could easily, he does. He could have done. Feels much better on the keyboard. C sharp. Jumps like these are on the clavichord difficult because you have to position your hand quite perfectly on the key. Okay, that's a first real look at the first. I must do this sonata because it's in the back of my head for so many months and actually years to do this. But I was hesitating for, as I said, to do it on the clavichord, and I have to look at the time frame. It's 22 minutes. Okay, next time I'll use my Panasonic. I have an app that I can control the camera on this phone. So. Anyway, so I was not thinking that this would be okay on the clavichord. Well, in this tempo it is. So I was playing it faster Let me see if I have some, or I have some, actually some metronome indications for my, oh, now we're going to dive into my history, which is okay for you if you still here so far into this practicing session. This is really kitchen information, you know. So in February, the 10th of February 2010, I played this piece in single beat quarter note, dotted quarter note 56, and 1st of March 2010 I played it at 52, so a little bit slower, but that indeed is faster than I've done now, and that's really cool. So motionless is 96, in single beat would be 48, so I was 52, 56. Not far from motionless, but still faster. And I think these runs in F sharp and what have you from keys are making it difficult on the clavichord. But in this tempo it's manageable. We will see in next episodes, in next practicing sessions for the adagio and also for the last movement, because that was also tricky, I remember, on the clavichord. But I did it. I even recorded it for a CD project back in 2010. Never released the CD. Was not really happy with the end result. It was not ready, sound-wise, and also me with the clavichord. So, but I did this piece once, so it's possible in the old version of myself as well. But now it feels better. It's more 18th century like miniaturistic, you know, with a little bit articulation, emphasize these notes, accentuate, and so on. So it's great to have these relooks on works that I've played so many years ago, actually rather extensively. And if things proceed like this, I will record this on the clavichord and on the pianoforte, and then it would be cool to compare those two. Okay. Hope you enjoyed this session. I had a good time in the chat for these premieres. It's a cool feature actually. And let me know in the comment section also if you would like enjoy the idea of diving into Mozart a little bit. I would love to read that. And certainly doing that more, it's a perfect combination with Beethoven. Actually I was planning to do some Buxtehude. It's still here, but I decided last minute not to do that. It's for later. It's related. And now we are focusing so much on our end 18th century, early 19th century. That's for a while. Let's stick to that. Not forgetting Bach, but yeah, it's only 2 hands and a few hours that we can devote our time to playing. So we have to make a choice, and hopefully there are many years ahead of us. So it's not that it's not coming. Okay, thanks for watching. For being here, thanks to my Patreons, as always, they make things possible that otherwise wouldn't be possible. So if you have just 1 minute time, visit our Patreon page, linked below in the description box, that would be awesome. And next time we see each other at the Frenzel, maybe live, with that beautiful sonata of Beethoven C major, second part. I mean, the first movement, but then the middle section. Maybe that will be a pre-recorded session. We might have been heading to, on that moment, heading to Lorenz already, Ingolstadt. We leave either Monday or Tuesday, I don't know. But anyway, you will see that and you will be updated just by going on the homepage on the channel. The live stream is announced. There are a few days, maximum, at the minimum a few hours before the live stream. We will see that, whether it is a premiere or a live stream. Okay guys, have a nice day and see you soon again. Bye.